Okay, good evening. My name's Jamie Van Sciver. I'm from Paulsboro, New Jersey. I was coming in today to ask you guys to revisit your ordinance banning medical cannabis. I'm sure there's people in your community that are dealing with chronic illness and chronic pain. Really have access to this medication. I don't think it's fair for any council or any municipality to decide for people what path they'll be taking with their medical treatments. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body, and it's meant to receive this medication. You guys have pharmacies. That's what's putting out the medicines, the Oxycontin and the fentanyl, and the things that we're reading about and hearing about in the news. This is what people are overdosing on and killing themselves.
Okay, we'll take that
I have
into
5 minutes. Yes.
consideration. Yeah, go ahead.
I personally deal with chronic illness. I have immune illness. I've been off all pharmaceuticals for the past couple of years, but I still have to get an eye exam every 6 months because I'm not out of the threshold for the side effect of causing blindness for one of my medications, supposed to protect my body from my immune system, but I have a 70% chance of going blind. I haven't taken that for 2 years, and I've been managing all of my illness with cannabis. I'm not building any tolerances to any medication. I'm not increasing any doses. Like, lab work speaks for itself. I can't change any numbers. And I just hope that people in your community would have access to this as well. When chronic illness isn't going away, you're facing a path of pharmaceuticals most times. And I think we can all imagine that's not going to a good place. And if there's something natural that someone can utilize, please don't stigmatize it and put it out of their reach. People have a really hard time getting their medication. A lot of disabled people don't drive. And, Access Link probably isn't going to take you there. They're not going to wait for you. And Ubers, even within like 10 miles, you're looking at $20 each way minimum. And that's really out of reach for people that are getting disability, and that's what they're living on. And if they chose those pharmaceuticals, they would be free and practically delivered to their house. Like, this isn't an easy way out. This is people making choices for their health and their life, Please have some empathy and reconsider your ban, at least on medical. Don't do that to people. Please have compassion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Lefty Grimes. I'm with Sativa Cross. We are a 501c3 here in New Jersey. We advocate for disabled people and cannabis patients here in New Jersey. Our group was started by a man who died last year. He had stage 4 cancer. And 4 years ago, they gave him 4 months to live. They didn't realize, and they didn't factor in cannabis into the equation. Jeff lived for 4 more years after his diagnosis, where he was going to die for 4 months. And he became the greatest activist I've ever seen, fighting with a chemo bag strapped to his hip sometimes at these council meetings, talking to ignorant councils that banned the medicine that they need to survive. That's what you did in Jamesburg. Jeff's message was compassion. And once we have compassion, everything else falls into place. But what you have in Jamesburg is no compassion. I've been to Jamesburg. I used to live in Helmetta. You don't have to believe me, but take a walk down Railroad Avenue and you'll see there's no compassion. There's absolutely zero wheelchair access in Jamesburg. Zero. Maybe 1 or 2 shops have wheelchair access. And then when you go and ban medical cannabis, well, you are actually hurting disabled war vets. Do you realize that? You're taking medicine out of disabled war vets' mouths, and you wouldn't even have a council if it wasn't for disabled war vets fighting for your freedoms that you have taken away from us. I'm a medical cannabis patient, and I'm disgusted by your ordinance banning medicine. You sling fentanyl in your town. You sling OxyContin and deadly opiates in your town. You sling alcohol and booze. That's all family friendly. You have a really good police chief, Chief Caparata. Why don't you ask Chief Caparata how much Narcan he's given out this year? Is it up to 50 or is it up to the 100 yet? Are we in the hundreds yet? Cannabis will get you off of all those pills. Cannabis will get you off of all the booze. But no, we have a stigma in Jamesburg, not in my town. That's what you're saying. The disabled war vets, not in my town. You're not welcome in my town. You can't do anything in Jamesburg if you're in a wheelchair. I've been to hundreds of council meetings, and I've asked every council to do this. I've asked them to spend a day in a wheelchair. Will you spend a day in a wheelchair? I know the answer. Let me ask you a question. Do you know how hard it is to get medicine when you're in a wheelchair? Do you expect people in a wheelchair just to get up and go to Cranberry? All right. Maybe you can walk to Cranberry. Maybe if you're a healthy person, you can maybe walk to Cranberry. If you're in a wheelchair, it might take you a couple of hours, but give yourself some cancer first. So maybe it's 3 or 4 hours. Give yourself some other disease. Maybe it's 5 or 6 hours. What are you doing to disabled people in your town? Why don't you have compassion? Why aren't you putting the last first? There's got to be a Christian on that council that believes in putting the last first. That's what I believe. I believe in helping the sick and the dying, not putting obstacles in front of wheelchairs. But that's what you have done in Jamesburg. You put obstacles in front of wheelchairs. People that are sick and dying and suffering, you have made them suffer more. 2/3 of your voting population voted to get stoned. 2/3 of your voters want to get stoned. And I'm just talking about medicine to save people's lives. You guys are on episode 1. You guys are on season 1, episode 2, while your taxpayers are on season 8, episode 9. You're not in touch with your voters. You're not in touch with compassion in Jamesburg. And it's disgusting. I know you're not going to change your ordinance because the same council that banned it, the same council that banned that banned people from getting their medicine. So I don't expect a change, but I want you to hear from the sick and dying that are not able to make your meeting right now. People in bed, people like Jeff who testified from his deathbed. He actually called councils from his deathbed. What would make a person do that? Why wouldn't Jeff just lay down and die? No, he wanted to tell you that you were wrong and that you're hurting him and other people. That's why he fought with a chemo bag strapped to his hip. I've never seen that before. I may never see it again, but I'm going to remember it and I'm going to tell you all about it every time I get a chance. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you. My condolences. Jeff was a very nice man to speak with when he was in our courtroom. So I am sorry for his loss. Is there anyone else?
One more, Mayor. Go ahead, Mr. King.
Hello, thank you. Mayor and Council, my name is Jeffrey King. I'm at 24 Elizabeth Parkway in Eatontown. And I'm also representing the concerns of medical cannabis patients. I think that it is a very serious issue. It's a life-saving medicine. And deciding to ban it is very, very serious decision. And I'm sure it was done in the interest of protecting the citizens, because I did read the media accounts after the fact, and I saw that the concern was the safety of vehicular traffic. I think that was the main concern I saw raised, and I would concur with my friends that we have found a way to somehow manage prescription medication, pharmaceuticals, and alcohol successfully. And we haven't had that same consideration given to cannabis. And I think that it bears more thought. I think we really need to reconsider the consequences of stigmatizing cannabis. It's safer than alcohol, but yet we make it less available. That's a mistake. And the consequences, it goes on and on. Mr. Grimes is right about people overdosing. It's horrible, and cannabis is a way out of that. But I saw one of the concerns is that it's a gateway in, and that's totally false. That's totally inaccurate. So I think if you're making decisions based on that, then you should reconsider. I would like to also point out that the AARP is endorsing medical cannabis, as is the American Legion, because they know it helps veterans get through PTSD. So by choosing to go against that, people really suffer. There really are consequences, and it boils down to our loved ones, our families, and our friends going through a lot of extra stress. So I just would like you to keep your mind open and think about what this really means, and think about what you really want to do for the community and what is really best. Thank you.
Thank you.